Welcome. Mentoring where we all can learn. As Sonia says, my name is Dino DeMarco. On behalf of the Royal Bank, I'd like to thank ACCES for this opportunity, and I want to thank you all for participating. Just to give you a little bit about a background about myself, I've been in the financial industry for about 36 years or so. In the retail banking environment. It is my pleasure on behalf of the Royal Bank to be associated with ACCES and their programs. Sonia and her whole team are doing a phenomenal job, and I want to thank you for participating. It is my sincere hope, and I'm sure you will get value out of our relationship today in our presentation on mentoring. I have acted both as a mentor and as a mentee, and what I hope to do today is to bring some value, some background, some insights into mentoring on both aspects of it. As we'll see, it brings a set of tools and skills that not only the person who's being mentored obtains, but also the person who is mentoring. It builds that everlasting relationship between individuals. And I'm confident that our discussion will bring value to this relationship. Our theme, where we all can learn. In learning, we will teach, and in teaching, we will learn. Okay, if we can get to our next slide. So the definition of mentoring, what is it? We've all heard different things about it, different meanings. What I'd like to do is the most common definition of mentoring is to support, encourage people to manage their own learnings in order that they can maximize their potential, develop their skills, improve their performance, and become the person they want to be. So what would be some of the elements of mentoring? What is mentoring? It's a relationship. It's a joint relationship, and it's a joint responsibility of everyone that's involved, both the mentor and the mentee. It's also a journey. It's a continuous path. It's a long-lasting journey. It stretches over a period of time. It could be rocky road at times. It could be a short period of time, which then stops for a while and then resumes again. But think of it as a journey as compared to a final destination. On this expedition, there are two people. Generally, there are two individuals involved. There are some cases where it could be a group type basis, but generally involves two. One person believes in the other's talents and is committed to that person's success. The mentor helps bring out the full potential of the other. The mentee takes advantage of the expertise, knowledge, and background that the mentor brings. The other is willing to open to learning and growing and becoming the best that they can be. They achieve their full potential, open-mindedness, new ideas. Both stand to get a lot from the relationship, as we discussed, and it's a learning process for both, and the benefits that come to both parties is immeasurable. And as with any interpersonal relationship, there are challenges. As we said, the road can be curving, could be rocky at times, but it provides those challenges that allow us to grow, to build that relationship, to build that bond, to build those centers of influence that come together in the mentoring relationship. Just a couple of quick quotes. If you cannot see where you're going, ask someone who has been there. A mentor empowers a person to see a possible future and believe it can be obtained. And my favorite one from Mr. Spielberg, the dedicated balance of mentoring someone is not creating them in your image, but giving them the opportunity to create themselves. Next slide, please. So, what are some of the benefits of a mentoring relationship? And as we discussed, there are both sides. It's a two-headed coin. Leadership, the benefits of mentoring, it builds those leadership skills in yourself. Not only does it build those skills, it gives you an additional tool belt. And those of you that are embarking on a career, you may say, well, what benefit would I get in leadership if I'm just beginning my career? As you approach prospective employers, this type of skill, that leadership quality, is something that becomes very, very valuable. By being a mentor, you're demonstrating, you're given that ability to show that leadership skill. So that adds that tool belt for potential employment. It imparts knowledge, it educates, and it gains knowledge. So we're transferring our knowledge, our experience onto the relationship to the mentee. And what the mentor gets from it is also the gaining of knowledge from the mentee, because we talked about it's a dual relationship. The knowledge, the feedback that both parties are able to provide bring value to both of them. Individual growth. Both parties expand their personal growth. The way they look at things, the way we look at different ideas, the way we approach different issues that arise, the way we approach different situations. It gives us an opportunity for that individual growth. It is valued by employers. Organizations place a huge value on a mentoring relationship or a mentoring experience for both parties. They found that it develops and grows a more productive, valuable employee relationship. People that have gone through mentoring programs, as they integrate themselves into the workforce, they find that it brings these valuable skills, these valuable traits into that working relationship. Again, these are skills that have been developed within that mentoring program, which then help us build the teamwork that our employers are looking for. Builds individual skills, your own skill set. It's expanded, and again, it adds more tools to that tool belt that you have to bring forward to an employer, to a relationship, to an existing employment situation. On a personal level, the relationship brings a sense of self-fulfillment. It gives you a sense of accomplishment. It provides in building your self-confidence. I've actually accomplished something. I've helped someone. On the mentee's part, it gives you a fulfillment in that it gives you an open-mindedness of ideas. And you, as a mentee, have given back to the mentor, which helps sustain that self-fulfillment. A couple of things, the benefits of the mentor and the mentee: satisfaction in helping others, benefit for your own skills and development of mentoring skills such as listening, asking questions, guiding, providing feedback, communication, interpersonal skills, gaining new perspective, different way of looking at things, developing business networks, which is very, very important in today's Canadian economic and business world. Engaging with mentees in different organizations, sectors of the industry, and leadership. On the mentee side, guidance and support. Excellent networking opportunity. There it is again, that relationship building. Receiving feedback and developmental guidance. Identifying personal growth opportunities, enhancing capabilities, goal setting, gaining new perspective, building confidence. So what are the benefits to a business? Well, they are astronomically beneficial to a businesses, and more companies are starting to realize this and looking for that skill set, that relationship, that exercise that new potential employees have gone through. A couple of things that they found is create a positive company culture. It fosters a culture of learning, nurturing, and growth. Promotes a growth work environment that creates employee engagement. So having participated in a mentoring program to an employer is very, very beneficial, because what it does, it shows the employer that there's this relationship, this willingness to learn, this willingness to grow. And what that does is helps build in the team dynamics in the workforce. And those are some of the skill sets and the attributes that an employer is looking for. It creates a team with people who feel satisfied and happy. Again, because of the fulfillment that comes from the relationship, it gives that self-confidence, that feeling of self-worth. That gets translated into the work environment. It builds diversity in leadership, inclusion in leadership groups and management teams. As you strive to move forward into management positions with your employer, having gone through a mentoring program helps build that diversity leadership skill set, that team management. As you have been in the relationship, you have developed those open-mindedness, that collaboration. That's a team-building skill set, and it's very, very important, especially in the management area. Knowledge sharing. They love that it's an effective and cost-efficient way for senior employees to pass on knowledge of the industry and the organization to more junior staff. Very cost-efficient. The mentoring relationship, the ability to pass on information, knowledge, and experience to a less seasoned staff member. In regards to the employer's benefit from the person who's receiving the information, they tend to find that they're much quicker to learn, much quicker to pick up concepts, which saves the organization time and money. Again, another very, very important tool in that tool belt. Employee retention. Mentoring programs are an attractive work benefit, also used as a recruitment tool. More and more companies are finding the value in this, and what they're actually doing is they establish mentoring programs right within the organization. And as a matter of fact, companies provide this as a benefit, because what they find is that it attracts more employees, it attracts an engaged, or keeps an engaged employee base. So along with every other benefit, this becomes one of them as well, and it's far encompassing. And finally, we're all in this upward journey together, giving all the parties a hand up. Okay, if we can go to the next slide, please. What are the different types of mentoring? So we talked a little bit about what it is, some of the benefits and so on. There are different ways that we can participate in a mentoring relationship. There are basically two. One is what's called a natural or naturally. This usually comes from parents with children, teachers with students, friends, people in general. So that comes naturally, a child and their parent, as an example. Another one that is much more common and relates more to us in the work environment, in our career paths and so on, is what's called planned. When there is an actual structured program that's established, and that program basically has specific goals, usually over a specific time period. Now they can change, but it's very, very linear. And at the end, there's an expected result. Mentors, and they come from a variety of backgrounds, as do mentees, all with a different skill set. The types of mentoring programs are a combination of these two relationships. So the first one, one-on-one, mentoring types, one-on-one. It's the most common. It usually matches, obviously, one mentor with one mentee. This allows and permits a personal relationship. It's directly between yourself and the mentor, or vice versa. Formal, a type where it's structured according to some type of guidelines or target. The parties are matched. Now, the other thing with a formal mentoring relationship, the parties are matched based on a certain criteria. So some commonality, or some commonality in background, some commonality in goals, some commonality in what the expectations are. With these types, again, formally planned mentoring relationships have boundaries, have targets, and importantly, there's expectations. And the expectations are on both parties. This is usually the type of mentoring that is done in the corporate atmosphere. Remote virtually. Now, as we all know, with everything that's gone through over the last little while, we've been doing a lot of things virtually. This is what's being used today. When also it's used and facilitated during normal times when parties are not in the same location. And that's becoming more and more prevalent, where you may be in Eastern Canada and your mentor or the mentee may be in Western Canada and so on. So that virtual relationship, and you're not in the same location. And that obviously can be done through the phone, Zoom, WebEx. There's a whole variety of virtual methods. The one thing that's important with a virtual mentoring relationship, and we'll talk a little bit about it later, the skill set is a little bit different than a one-on-one personal relationship where you and I are in the same room. The mentor, the mentee is in the same room. Another type are executives. These are conducted by company executives or senior managers. This type of relationship is, they look towards executives providing the mentoring background. They already have an understanding of how to be successful. They have the experience. They know what the company culture is like. So this type of mentoring relationship is usually with an executive and a junior or a less senior individual. What it also does is it passes on executive knowledge to the up-and-coming stars of the company. Organizations, one of the biggest things that organizations always have a challenge with this is replacing or new executives coming up along the chain of command. An executive type of relationship or mentoring program allows existing executives to pass that on. So it builds good continuity. Group, several individuals mentored by one person. Usually in a group type of relationship, you want to have probably no more than 1 to 3, one mentor to about 3. Again, it is structured as is the one-on-one. The only issue with a group type of mentoring relationship is trying to get everyone together at the same time. So it could have some challenges there. But on the positive side, what it does, it also gives more people to contribute and more input. Skill-based. It's directly focused on building a specific skill set. So this type of relationship, and for someone who is looking for a mentoring relationship, you may want to take this into account. If I think that I need to develop a specific skill set, or I'm finding a challenge in whether it be communicating, organizational, time management, whatever it is, but there are special relationships that you can enter into in regards to mentoring that address that specific skill set. So that helps me, again, develop that tool belt that I have. As a mentor, what that allows me to do is, if I feel that I have strengths in a particular skill set and I want to pass that along, it gives me the opportunity to pass that skill set along. And what it also does, it gives me the opportunity to to refine that skill set even more. Okay, we can go to the next slide, please. Skills and tools required by a mentor. Now, although this talks about what's required by a mentor, as a mentee, you can take this and look at each one of them on the opposite side of the coin, one. Two, you can also take and look at these as where do I fit in of possessing this skill set. So it's not generic just to the mentor. The ability to have a skill set that allows the transfer of your knowledge and experience to others. The people skills, the ability to communicate, able to actively listen, and able to build rapport. That's what a mentor needs. But having said that, those are also the skills that need to be developed, demonstrated, and executed on when you're looking for employment, when you're looking to grow your career path, when you're looking for your own personal development. So, first one, active listening skills. The ability to actively listen applies to both parties, the mentor to understand the needs and the mentee to interpret the information. I've got to be able to not only listen, but I've got to hear what you're saying. As a mentor, I want to be able to listen to the feedback that you're giving me. I want to be able to hear and understand the areas that you'd like me to address. The mentee is how are you interpreting? Are you just hearing it, or are you are you just listening, or are you hearing what the mentor is saying? How are you interpreting it? Listen to understand what is being asked and give the information that is being asked. So the elements of listening, you, they, you, their ears, your eyes, their eyes. Are you to look each other in the eyes? You, their heart, how do they feel? What's the feedback that you're getting? Body language is very, very important. Watching for body language. Are they open to and receptive? Is there a smile on their face? Is there a frown? Is there a look of puzzlement, and so on? Good relationship, unlike what we're doing right now where I'm talking all the time, a good mentoring relationship is don't talk all the time. Give the other person the opportunity to speak. One of the biggest things is we like to impart our knowledge as a mentor to the mentee, so we go on and on and on and on because we want to make sure that we're distributing that knowledge. Well, a good mentor has to have the ability to not talk as much and just listen as well. As a mentee, the first thing that you want to do is always ask a lot of questions, which is fantastic. And what tends to happen with the mentee is you're asking one question and then one right after the other. Well, as a mentee, you want to ask the question, which is fantastic, but then we want to step back and listen for the answer, and listen open-mindedly, not with a preconceived notion. So that was the other thing. Be aware of preconceived notions that you may be bringing into the conversation on both ends. Open-mindedness we talked about, paraphrasing to identify, to understand. One of the techniques on both ends of the relationship is to paraphrase. So if I'm, as a mentor, if I'm relaying a concept onto the mentee, I want to make sure that they're understanding it. And one of the techniques that I use is to paraphrase it, and vice versa, the other way around. So if a concept, if you and I are discussing a concept and so on, so you want to make sure that you understand it. As an example, so Dino, if I understand you correctly, and then paraphrasing it, repeating it back, and so on. Nodding in agreement. Again, it goes back to body language. Maintaining frequent eye contact. Now, unfortunately, you and I can't see each other, but that eye contact helps build that relationship in that mentoring. What it also does, eye contact and a positive body language builds trust. Position yourself so that you're understanding what the other person is actually saying. Communication skills. Communicating is a method we get the message across and how the message is received. It's a two-way process. The process begins with an idea in one person's mind, which is then tried or attempted to impart to the other one. A couple of things under communication: my voice tone, the tone of my voice, the speed in which I speak, the volume in which I speak. And I just gave you 3 examples and so on. Very, very important. How we communicate, the verbal part of it. The nonverbal part, and we already talked about that, leaning forward, arms crossed, open arms receptive, my facial expressions, eye contact. Now keep in mind, as mentors, you want to look for these types of reactions or these types of signals from your mentee. But mentee, you also want to make sure that you're presenting a positive attitude. You're standing in front or sitting in front of a mentor trying to absorb the teachings, and you're sitting there with your arms crossed. That's a defensive position. So the message that's coming across that way. The total process of communication takes everything into account, and the common goals and outcomes are achieved when the communication is executed in this fashion. Building rapport, another skill set that is beneficial to both parties. Involvement in a mentor-mentee relationship helps build rapport between individuals. The rapport is the ability to get along or build a professional bond with someone, shared values and goals. Both parties are there to help each other to grow, and the trust in that mentoring relationship. Building rapport is very, very important, and it's an exercise that comes out of the mentoring relationship because as we move into the working world, the business world, the building rapport goes a long way amongst colleagues and business development and your own future growth. You have to have that skill set to build that rapport with people, which a mentoring relationship highlights, because it is an invaluable asset that an employer is looking for. The ability to practice empathy and understanding, to understand how each party in their relationship feels. Remember who the relationship is about. What is the purpose of this relationship? Sharing successes, a common objective. Both parties are on the same path. And a couple of things I just want to bring to your attention on the slide there. The one with the teacher and the best advice I can give to a young teacher is to realize that students will probably forget mostly of what you say, but it's how you made them feel. It's how you made them feel, both as mentor, mentee, in that rapport, that building of that relationship. Next slide, please. It's the most rewarding experience ever. As we talked about, one of the benefits is that self-fulfillment, that rewarding feeling that we get. So there are many benefits that are received from all the parties in the relationship. This is why the mentoring programs are established in schools, universities, and as we talked about more and more in the corporate world, business world. It's the positive impact on actually studies have shown that it has a positive impact on our overall mental health and our overall well-being. And as an individual now, corporations take a lot of interest in our overall well-being. Again, it's something that's very, very important. They find that an overall well-being of an individual not only is able to get the most production out of their own efforts, but organizations treat it as a totally valuable asset in productivity, in teamwork, in engagement, and so on. So examples of a rewarding experience. Supporting against isolation, engage with other individuals so that they're not feeling alone. And especially now, what's been going on with this COVID crisis, a lot of people are at home, they're detached from other individuals. A lot of this is done virtually. But also, during normal times, people still feel isolated in their workspace or in their work environment. A mentoring program helps break down that isolation, reduces levels of anxiety, provides a skill set so that an individual has more confidence in their capabilities to contribute and succeed. Everyone wants to succeed, and everyone wants to contribute to the utmost that they can. A mentoring relationships helps bring those skill sets in. It reduces the anxiety. How many times have you gone into a meeting or a situation and your anxiety level has just hit the roof? Well, being in a relationship of a mentor-mentee gives us more confidence in our own abilities. And you find that it won't eliminate that anxiety totally, but what it does, it gives you a base level you can help keep that under control. The self-confidence. Participants have stated they become more confident in themselves. They feel more supported in discussions and their career paths. Mentoring also does in that regard, what it does, it provides usually a safe space for mentees to explore new ideas and grow without the fear of judgment or decision of incorrectly thinking about an idea that doesn't make any sense. Depending on that relationship, it gives you that free space to try out new ideas, try out new things without major consequences. It also gives you a feeling of being listened to. Someone is actually listening to me. Again, it brings value to me. Hope for the future, optimistic about their future successes. A lot of people that are in these types of relationships are more optimistic about the future, about their own future, about their company's future, their own progress. It comes back to that self-confidence, which then translates to the potential for future opportunity. It's a relationship that allows you to see the hope inside of all of us, as Oprah Winfrey said. Next slide, please. So to recap, where we all can learn. We talked a little bit about what mentoring is, the benefits of the mentoring relationships, the types of mentoring, the skills required, and its most rewarding experience. We can't stress the value that these types of relationships provide. And as we talked about, more and more corporations are truly embracing these types of activities. And as we discussed, they've actually started to include them as benefits in their actual packages that they provide employees. The skill sets that are imparted, that are learned, that are executed, that are developed, that are practiced in these relationships are invaluable, again, not only for the mentor, but as well for the mentee. Every opportunity that you can, and as I mentioned, corporations provide them any opportunity that you can participate in such a relationship, both as a mentor and mentee, will bring rewards that are just incredible down the road. And as things change, the mentoring relationship changes. As the skill set gets higher and higher or more and more refined, so does the relationship. And there's nothing wrong during that relationship of having the goals or the objectives revised. As I mentioned, I've been involved both as a mentor and a mentee, and I can speak from personal experience on both sides of that coin that I definitely gained from the relationship. We've passed it on, and I still participate on both sides of the relationship. So I really encourage you all to seek out and look for these types of arrangements, because the benefits, as I stress, are just astronomical. So again, I want to thank you very much. I want to thank ACCES for allowing us to to be with you for a few moments. I hope we were able to impart some value on the mentoring relationship, and I wish you all the best. I guess we're open now for some questions.
Thank you so much, Dino. Yes, everyone, you can start typing your questions into the Q&A tab. And I see that we have some questions here already. So I'll start with the first one here. When you do start your, I guess, your partnership with your mentor, like who initiates the plan of action? Because Rosemary here has a mentor now, and it looks like neither of them know how to kick it off. Should the mentee like sort of start a plan of, you know, when to meet, or do they like should they wait for the mentor to get back to them?
Good question. I'm a big believer in taking action. Ideally, you would want an experienced mentor would initially establish the structure, the format, the formal part of it. So the mentor generally would say, okay, we're going to start this on this day, we're going to do it weekly, whatever. But however, if the mentee is not getting that sense from the mentor, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the mentee, you know, speaking up to the mentor, look, this is the kind of areas that I think I'm going to need, and I'm going to look for you to value. This is the type of learner I am. I may need maybe once a week, once a month, and so on. So initially you would want, and a good mentor, what they will do is they will come semi-prepared already. So they've got, I didn't get into it, but there's actually how to actually establish a full mentoring program and so on. But the mentor should take the initial lead in setting up the structure. But again, if the mentee is finding gaps, as we said, this is a two-way relationship. There's nothing wrong with the mentee taking that initiative and saying, you know, I would like to focus on this, 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 and this.
Thank you. Next question here is actually kind of for ACCES. If someone is interested in our speed mentoring program, please note that speed mentoring is actually for people who are in our bridging programs or is one of our clients. So the best thing for you to do is call your closest ACCES location and register to be a client first. And after they have, you know, someone looked at your profile, they will prepare you before you can be in front of a mentor. So there's two ways of joining. Either you can do a bridging program and you'd be able to be eligible for speed mentoring, or you can find out about our TRIAC mentoring partnership as well. So call in and ask about that as well. So someone will be able to connect you to a TRIAC mentoring partnership consultant as well. Hope that answers your question. Next question is, how can a new immigrant in Canada reach out to a mentor for skill-based mentoring?
Well, there are several programs that can be done through a lot of the agencies. ACCES, I guess, would be one. There are certain organizations, COSTI is another one. There are, as I say, there are certain organizations for new Canadians that are coming. The other way that you can, your local community groups, you'd be surprised the information of the resources that are available just by talking to people in your own local community, your social clubs, cultural clubs, and so on. Sonia, I'm not quite sure of all the resources that the federal government has for that kind of thing.
Thank you. Yeah, and then the next question again is, where do you look for a mentor? I can again let you know that TRIAC Mentoring Partnership is partnered with ACCES, and they house a lot of different mentors that are matched with different mentees. So go to our website or call in to find out more about TRIAC, TRIEC. mentoring partnership. But other than that, Dino, if you can maybe give some tips on where to find a mentor as well.
Yeah, again, besides any social agency or government support program, one of the biggest things that I find, and I'm a big believer in building your centers of influence. So local culture groups, asking questions there. Where else? Let me just think. A lot of small business centers in the community offer it. Your small chamber of commerce offer programs. If you actually go into some of the municipal offices and the city halls, the small business chambers of commerce in the surrounding Toronto area, all of them offer mentoring programs. Where else? Large organizations, you can contact organizations through their marketing or their public relations area and find out what type of mentoring programs they have to offer. I think the biggest thing that I can say is any place where there's a group of people that you can ask questions could be a source, because by asking questions is how you'd find the resources. One example is we had a student who belonged to the condominium corporation, and she went to their meetings and she got a whole bunch of resources available to her. A whole bunch of doors opened up to different organizations, different companies, and so on, just by getting herself involved in the community. One other way is local businesses as well. Some local businesses in your community, they can put you in touch with those types of services. The bottom line is ask. Anywhere where there's a group of people with a common interest or expertise, and just ask.
Thank you. Do mentors take some training beforehand before they set out to impact mentees in their professional careers?
Generally, they do, yes, because there are certain things that we have to understand in regards to the relationship. There is training on how to put an actual program together. There is some training on how to measure success. There is training on how to change certain elements in the program if things aren't coming up to what we want them to be. So there is some formal training. A lot of it has to do with communicating the experience, the knowledge, and the background. So there's also some communication training as well on how to communicate, how to get that message across. So there is some. It also depends on what the purpose of the relationship is. So if it's specifically oriented, the training that's involved, you would assume they already have the expertise. It's the training that they take is how to impart that expertise. Again, that goes to communication and so on. And then how to actually measure the results. So there is some, yes.
Do you know if RBC has a mentoring program for people who are not employees?
Yes, they do. Now, I believe it was put on pause during this COVID crisis, but if they get in contact with our public relations area, they can give them more details on it. Unfortunately, I don't get that end of it, that involved with that part of it. I end up being the mentor once they've got some candidates for me to interview and so on. But we do, and all large, or I shouldn't say all, but most large organizations, because they are finding huge value in mentoring for their existing employees and for potential employees.
All right, thank you so much. It looks like we are at the end of our questions here. Dino, would you like to add anything before we wrap up?
Again, I want to thank you very much. I think ACCES, you guys are doing a phenomenal job, and I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to impart some of my words of wisdom. Get yourself involved in a mentoring type of relationship. I've seen it over the years. The benefits are astronomical. And it may take time, and the relationship may have to change a little bit and so on. But I've seen it in our new hires that have gone through a program, and I've seen it through some colleagues of mine. That developmental ability, capability, and growth is just astronomical. And down the road, it pays dividends that are just so much in value to an employer and to yourself. The feeling that you get for your self-fulfillment is just incredible. So if you get the opportunity, please take advantage of that type of relationship. And I wish you all the best, and I want to thank you very much.